I'm just going to talk to this like I talked to my sister on Marco Polo. I'm just going to be going over the different things I'm going to be taking to Mount Rainier this year versus Zion, and like the kind of lessons I learned and what I'm doing differently. One of the things that I'm going to, because I know I have like a lot of family and friends who are kind of curious about what I do. I've been asked or how I do this, and I'm just going to show. So one of the things I'm doing differently is I got a collapsible cooler. Last year in Zion, I thought like one of those little styrofoam ones from a gas station would work. It did not. I ended up having to buy like a glue $25 one from Family Dollar. It worked fine. It was not the best. It kept my food from like completely rotting, but it wasn't the best solution. So this year, and I ended up having to leave it with the hotel because I didn't want to pay the money to fly it home. So I was just like, can you donate it or give it to the homeless or something? So this year I'm taking a cooler with me. I didn't want to spend a ton of money, and especially when Mount Rainier is going to be a lot cooler than Zion. So this time I got it was like 23 bucks at Target. It was on sale. It's just like a little collapsible cooler where you open it up and the sides pop out. So you can, come on, open. Yeah, there we go. And it's about 30 cans size, and I think it'll work really well, especially in that climate. Another thing that I'm doing differently is I'm taking more emergency gear, simply because I think there's a lot more hikes there, and because it's a volcano, didn't know that before I booked the trip, it can have its own climate, and the weather can be even more unpredictable, especially at that elevation. So some of the things that I'm taking a little bit more in preparation for this one is an actual physical map of the national park, as well as I've got like all the hikes. So it's got over 50 that you can do of day hikes. I'm not going to be doing any overnight hikes, not by myself anyway, and certainly not for my second trip. But day hikes, long ones, hell yeah. So I'm going to take this guy. Another thing I'm going to be taking as far as emergency preparedness is, it's not a tourniquet, but it's similar. So one of these sorts of bandage type situations, if I get a serious injury or somebody else gets a serious injury and I would meet them on the trail. Got this. I've also got, what else? I've got emergency shelter because, again, with Zion's, it was flash flood, so you had to worry about if you were in the slot canyons. With this, it's more, it can change rapidly with, like, cause there's still glaciers up there, I believe. So I could experience all sorts of range in temperature drops or increases, whatever. So I've got an emergency shelter. I've got an emergency sleeping bag. I've got rope for it. And then I've also have a solar power bank. So I'll be taking this out with me, and as well as probably another power bank, but this one certainly because it can be charged off of solar. And then, more like sort of first aid. So I do have a first aid thing over with the rest of my camping gear, but I'll pull that out later and show it. But this is more new stuff that I'm getting. Or then another one I've invested in is a moldable splint. So I've got this sucker, as well as more tape. So that's some of the like first aid type stuff that I'll be taking. I've also, even though I might take it with me. I don't know. I'm gonna double check on if it's something that I should take with me. But emergency radio, also solar. I'll have this sucker. It's also a flashlight. It's kind of does a lot. So I found this guy on a Prime deal. So I'll be taking him. Other things is because I'm going from a very low elevation to a very high elevation, altitude sickness is a real risk. So I'm doing as much as I can to prepare for that, including taking chlorophyll. So this had a bunch of really great reviews, and I've also heard from doing research and also like doctors and stuff that taking chlorophyll can really help like prevent. So got these. I'll probably start taking these tomorrow. because you're supposed to start them before you even go. It helps get oxygen to the brain, stuff like that. So I'll have that. There's another vitamin that's coming that should also help with prevent altitude sickness. And speaking of the altitude sickness, I know I need to be drinking a lot of water. And one of the things that I got was at Bass Pro the other day, I got a 3-liter water bottle bladder. So I'll be taking this as, which should help, because the more water, the less likely you are to get that. But last year, one of the mistakes I made was the backpack, the day pack that I took for my day hikes. It was this sucker. It was a cheap Amazon one that you can fold up, which was great for saving space, but it sucks because there's zero support in the back. And so when I filled it up with all my crap to take during the day, everything was poking me in the back, and it was awful. I didn't want to do that again. So while I was at Bass Pro, I looked and I found this guy. It's got it has a frame. It'll be able to fit into my suitcase. I'll be able to fit the water bladder into the back of this. I've already tried, it does fit. It's also pretty deep, and it's got lots of pockets and lots of places to put carabiners, as well as trekking poles, sunglasses, the works. So I feel like this will be a pretty good backpack for the trip. I guess we'll find out, but it should definitely work better than that thing. So that should make it much more bearable. Something else that I'm having to do is clothing, which I'll get to, but I just saw this guy. And last trip, also speaking of mistakes, was it just sucked having to blow up my little inflatable like air mattress. And so this, or not air mattress, but pad, sleeping pad. And so I got a tiny pump to help inflate it and also deflate it when I'm done. And so I've got this sucker that I'm taking with me, which should make my life easier, as well as these guys. I like my coffee in the morning, and I like my syrups and my zero sugar sweeteners. So I'm gonna fill up with the syrups that I want for my coffee. I'm gonna put them in here. They're leak proof. They seem a lot more reliable than my little bottles that I have. So got these guys for the trip. Something else I got for the trip are the clothes, actually. So we'll go over that. So I need more layers this time. This was super cheap. I got this on sale, and it's just a nice little jacket. It's white. I know it's gonna get stained and destroyed, but it's for its intended purpose, and I liked it better than the other colors. So I got that. Another thing I got was a windbreaker. My dogs are barking, so I guess I can see what they're barking at. Whiskey, stand up. Shh. No. Nobody's breaking in. Three things. Okay. Of course they're gonna do this while I'm making the video. Anyway, so another thing I got was whiskey. You're fine. Oh, you're gonna bark at me now? Thanks. Okay. So another thing I got was this. Okay, I'm back. I think the dogs are done. All right, windbreaker. It has UV protection. That was one reason I wanted it. It also is water resistant and water repellent. It was a lot cheaper than the other one that I wanted. The other one was like 110. This one was like 35, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Especially when the other one was waterproof, but I'm like, but I got a poncho, and I can just throw that over my backpack and my jacket, and it's this guy, and I swear, I think I may have had this thing since I was 16, and it works great, and it is absolutely wonderful. It's very thick, and it does the job. So I've got my poncho that I'll be taking with me, and it folds up nice, and I can throw it into my pack as well. Other things that I invested in were more clothes, so I'm going to have like that. The windbreaker will be the outer shell. I'll also have probably another couple layers underneath, including And because down here I don't need as much warm clothes, I needed to get some more layers for this trip, specifically for camping. I've got long sleeve stuff, but not meant for the outdoors. So I got more long sleeved, baggy, comfy stuff that I found on clearance sections and clearance racks. I got some, so this is a fishing layer, it's a fishing gear, and it's moisture wicking. It won't keep me necessarily warm, but it will do a good job as just if it's being layered with other stuff. So I invested a lot in a little bit more clothes to protect from the elements, as well as, well, a couple of them are UV as well. So that is some of the stuff that I'm doing differently this trip. I also got these. This is something else I'm doing differently this trip that I didn't do last trip, and it's in the back of the car. Last time I just threw my backpack in the back of the car, and I was kind of like pulling things in and out of it, and it was a pain in the butt. And this time I'm just taking my suitcase, and I'm just going to also take these guys, which will fold up, and I can just throw into my suitcase as well. And they also snap open, similar to the cooler, and that way I have two of them. I might have a third that's not as good, but I might take with me. And that way I can just kind of throw my things into different bins and organize them as I need, like clothing or food or camp, like my day stuff, whatever. So I'll have these as well to work with the travel and making everything easier, and that's kind of what I'm doing. And I'll make some other videos kind of as I prepare and showing what I'm taking, and hopefully ease people's fears who are worried about me going on these solo trips. I also have a blog post that I'm going to be posting about it as well, like some of the hikes I'm hoping to go on, and like how excited I am kind of about this and thinking about it, and also kind of like the campground I'm staying at. Anyways, so I will talk to you all soon. I will make another one kind of other stuff. Bye.